Let's talk about Hungary's greatest opera, Bluebeard's Castle. Bela Bartok wrote the music between 1909 and 1910, and he based it off of a play by his friend, Bela Balaz. The exact origin of the Bluebeard tale is unknown, but the most famous version comes from Charles Perrault in his 1697 published volume, Stories or Tales from Times Past. This fairy tale is about the affluent Duke Bluebeard and the rumor that he has killed all of his past wives and locked them up in his castle. He marries a young girl and gives her the keys to every door in his magnificent house, but she is not allowed to go into one closet at the end of the Great Hall. Bluebeard goes out of town on business, and his wife decides to throw a party. Overcome by curiosity, she opens the forbidden cabinet to find the mangled bodies of Bluebeard's former wives. On discovering this treachery, Bluebeard attempts to kill his wife, but is in fact killed by his wife's brothers that have come to save the day. Over the years, the tale of Bluebeard has been no stranger to adaptations. Charles Dickens wrote the short story Captain Murderer. Beatrix Potter wrote Sister Anne, which tells the story of Bluebeard from the perspective of the sister of Bluebeard's eighth wife. Kurt Vonnegut wrote Bluebeard about an abstract expressionist painter, and Sylvia Plath wrote the poem Bluebeard. For the theater, the most famous play is Maurice Maeterlinck's Ariane and Bluebeard, which was turned into an opera by the same name by Paul Dukas. 50 years later, before Dukas, Jacques Offenbach also wrote his opera named Bluebeard. In 1949, Warner Brothers made a cartoon Bye Bye Bluebeard.
Stop! We interrupt this program with a special news bulletin. Bluebeard the killer is at large. Use every precaution to protect yourself. Lock your windows, bolt your doors. Remember, this man is dangerous. Report any suspicious character to your local police.
Bluebeard!
The 1944 film Gaslight with Ingrid Bergman is a story analogous to the fairy tale and the originator of the phrase gaslighting someone. In Stephen King's The Shining, Jack Torrance reads the story of Bluebeard to 3-year-old Danny, which foreshadows how The Shining ends. The 2014 sci-fi film Ex Machina follows Caleb Smith, who works at Blue Book and has many similarities throughout to Bluebeard, including women trapped behind doors. When Balaz came to write his version of the Bluebeard tale in 1908, he was heavily inspired by the symbolist movement and particularly the work of Maurice Maeterlinck. In an introduction to the published play in 1915, Balaz wrote, "Bluebeard's castle is not a realistic stone castle. The castle is his soul. It is lonely, dark, and secretive, the castle of locked doors. Into his castle, into his own soul, Bluebeard admits his beloved. And the castle, the stage, shudders, weeps, and bleeds. When the woman walks in it, she walks in a living being." So here's the summary of the original play by Balaz. This version was adapted by Bartok with some minor changes that I'll discuss in a different video. I will be using clips from a production that's done by the London Philharmonic Orchestra, conducted by Adam Fisher. It is the best production I've seen on YouTube, and I'll link it in the description. The opening of the opera, interestingly, doesn't start with an overture, but with the solitary speaker who walks out on the dark stage. He delivers an opening prologue and then is never heard from again in the whole opera.
Listen, there's a story to be told, a tale that's been hidden away. Now where shall I find it? Once upon a time, was it outside or inside, there was an old legend. What does it mean, my lords and fine ladies? Now, as the song begins, you watch me, watching you. The curtain of our eyelashes opens. Where is the stage? Outside us or within, lords and fine ladies? We watch each other closely as the song begins. Who knows where it comes from? Listen to it. Wonder at it, my lords and ladies. The music sounds, the flame burns. Let the players begin. There was an old castle, so old that even the legend about it is lost in time. Listen to the song. Listen.
The scene is a large, dark, and empty castle. 7 doors are visible throughout the stage. In walks our two principal characters. There's not much background information given about Judith. We're told that she has left her family willingly to marry Bluebeard, although it is hinted that her family does not approve of this elopement. Judith comments about how dark the castle is and the rumors that she has heard about it. Bluebeard asks if Judith would be happier back at home, but she says that her love will brighten the dank castle. Judith spots the locked doors and asks them to be opened. Bluebeard refuses and reminds her about the terrible rumors about him and his past. Judith pounds on the first door and the castle sighs. Bluebeard hands over the first key and the door sighs as Judith pushes it open. A blood-red light shoots out from the door. As Judith enters the door, she sees knives, heavy chains, the rack that rips you in half. All of these are part of Bluebeard's torture chamber. She begins to notice that blood starts dripping from the walls. Judith bravely declares that she is unafraid and she wishes for the keys to the rest of the doors. The second door emits a reddish-yellow light when it is opened. It is Bluebeard's armory. Numerous plate bodies, scimitars, and helms line the walls. She comments that Bluebeard is strong and cruel. As she wanders throughout the lines of military equipment, she notices that each one is stained with fresh blood. Judith requests the keys to the remaining doors. She says that she wants to belong entirely to Bluebeard, to share in both the positive and negative sides of his character. Bluebeard is now more hesitant, but promises just 3 more keys if she will not ask any more questions. Bluebeard gives her the 3 keys, and Judith is now nervous in front of the third door, but pretends to be unafraid. Bluebeard ominously says that there is no need for her to be afraid anymore, for by this time, it does not matter. Judith opens the third door, and a golden light floods the great hall. She walks into Bluebeard's treasury. Gold sparkles all around, with rich rubies, diamonds, and sapphires sparkling as the light hits them. Bluebeard says that everything that she sees now belongs to her. Judith sets out a gorgeous necklace, a crown, and a cloak on the threshold of the door. Judith runs her hand through the coins in awe, but discovers that each treasure has blood dripping off of it. Bluebeard tells Judith to keep opening doors to admit some sunshine, and Judith opens the 4th door. A shaft of blue-green light comes in. This is Bluebeard's secret garden. Every flower is in bloom, a beautiful canopy of trees cover the ceiling, and it is the perfect picture of tranquility. Bluebeard tells her that all of the flowers are bowing to Judith, and they all bloom for her. As she wanders throughout the garden, she finds that with every step, blood seeps out of the soil, and the rose petals have drops of blood on them. Are you sensing a pattern? Bluebeard tells her again not to ask questions, but remarks that the castle is getting brighter. He invites her to use the last of the 3 keys that he gave her, and that she should open the 5th door. When Judith opens the door, she can see a vast array of lands for miles. This is Bluebeard's domain. She sees a forest, rivers, a town, and mountains in the distance. Bluebeard says that all of this is her land now. A cloud appears on the horizon and moves slowly to the center of the sky. It casts a blood-red shadow. Bluebeard is feeling happy that he has opened up so much to her and invites her for an embrace, but Judith stays put and comments how there are 2 more doors remaining. Bluebeard tells her to forget about those doors, because she has already brightened up his castle so much. Judith refuses the embrace and states firmly that she does not want anything concealed from her, even if it means losing her life. Bluebeard very reluctantly agrees and gives her just 1 more key. Again, the castle groans. The sixth door is opened and the castle gets darker. Judith descends upon a motionless lake. It is the most beautiful thing that she has ever seen. She asks Bluebeard where the water comes from to fill this lake. Bluebeard tells her that the lake is made up of tears. Bluebeard then refuses to open the final door, and Judith cozies up to him. She asks about who Bluebeard loved before her, and Bluebeard tells her again not to ask him any more questions. Were they more beautiful than me? She asks. Bluebeard does not answer. She pulls away from him and declares that she, in fact, knows what lies behind the seventh door. She reminds him of the blood on the weapons, gold, flowers, and the blood-red shadow of the cloud. She says she knows whose tears filled that lake. She says all of Bluebeard's former wives' bloodied bodies are contained behind that last door, and the rumors about him were true. Desperate, Bluebeard hands her the final key. He admits that his wives are behind that door. Judith takes the key. As she begins to open the seventh door, the fifth and sixth doors close with a sigh, and the light they brought into the great hall is now gone. The castle is remarkably dark now. Judith opens the seventh door, and a silvery moonlight now fills the hall. Judith walks in and is shocked to find that the wives are still alive. They are in beautiful, elegant dress and very graceful. She is awestruck. Bluebeard says that they are immortal. They are the ones who gathered his wealth, watered his garden, and expanded his lands. Everything that is his is theirs. Judith remarks at how outstandingly beautiful they are, and in comparison, she is very poor. Talking about each wife in turn, he then states that he found the first wife in the morning, and the morning belongs to her. He found the second at midday, and midday is hers. He found the third wife in the evening, and the evening belongs to her. As each wife is discussed, they go back into the seventh door, and the fourth door containing the garden now closes. Alluding to Judith, Bluebeard continues that he found the last wife at night, and the night belongs to her. She interrupts that she is still alive, and right next to Bluebeard. But Bluebeard walks over to the third door and picks up the necklace, crown, and cloak and places it on Judith slowly. As he does this, the third door closes. Judith struggles as Bluebeard closes her, but it is fruitless. Bluebeard says that she was the most beautiful of all of the wives. She follows the other wives into the seventh door, and the door closes behind them. Bluebeard now returns to the pitch-black hall where he comments that it will be nighttime and dark perpetually. The music from the beginning of the opera is recapitulated, and Bluebeard is lost in the darkness. This opera is a masterpiece, and it's unfortunate that it's not performed more frequently. I also think that this is the perfect piece to introduce someone who's new to the genre of opera. Usually opera can be intimidating for how long it will take, but this one's only 1 hour max, 1 act. Opera plots can also be complex sometimes, with characters running around, dressing up as each other, and multiple characters being involved. But the plot is pretty easy to follow because there's only 2 characters. But the symbolism is rich, and that leads to great discussion. So in the next video, I plan to flesh out some of the construction, both of the play and of the opera, and then in later videos I can discuss the music and we can get down into the nitty-gritty of those details. So if you would like to follow for more, please subscribe, and then you'll see when the next video comes out. Thanks.
Eebly.